As we speak, there is a Janta curfew in the state of Maharashtra, and it is going to have an economic impact of around 40,000 crore rupees. Well, that's an estimate by CARE Ratings, and with over 1 lakh cases coming into the country since 6th April every single day, it clearly shows that this has started taking a toll on India's economic activity as well. First, it was Maharashtra. Now, National Capital is also going to see weekend curfew. In fact, economists say that these state-specific lockdowns or curfews or curbs that we are seeing, they are going to have enormous potential to actually erase the kind of gains that the Indian economy managed to make in the last 2 months, which made many global rating agencies say that in the current financial year, FY22, India is going to retain that tag of being the fastest growing economy in the world. Now, there is, some kind of a doubt over that particular estimate. We are saying this because already few rating agencies have started revising India's growth forecast downwards. That's right. And does it mean that India will now have to think of another growth strategy if it still wants to achieve a double-digit growth? Or is it some kind of a stimulus that India really needs so that the economic impact of this second wave of coronavirus is quite little? That's what we are going to discuss on this special broadcast. Joining us on the broadcast today is Madan Sabnawis, who is Chief Economist at CARE Ratings. We have with us Sunil Alag, who is Chairman, SK Advisors. We also have with us Vineet Agarwal, who is President, ASSOCHAM. Good afternoon, gentlemen, all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. Mr. Madan Sabnawis, I want to begin my discussion with you because, your rating agency has given the first estimate, 40,000 crore, you were saying, just for Maharashtra. Now, with Delhi also announcing weekend curfew, what kind of an economic impact are you anticipating?
In fact, what we're looking at is a fall of at least 0.5 to 0.6% in GDP. That is, if we had an estimate in the region of around 11%, it'll come down to around 10.4, 10.5%. Now, this is based on the premise that from 1st May, things will become normal, which I don't think is likely, because the problem we have seen with lockdowns is that once you impose it and you see the number of infections increasing, it becomes very embarrassing for governments to say that as the cases are going up, we're going to go in for unlock. So practically speaking, I think what we're talking of a 1 month lockdown, it started off in Maharashtra and has spread to other major business centers, will probably get prolonged for a little longer. And this number of 0.5, 0.6 is just based on a 1 month impact, where I'm including Maharashtra, along with places like Delhi, Bangalore, Jaipur, Indore. Now just remember that Bengal have the elections on, Tamil Nadu have elections on, and post-elections, there's likelihood of more testing to be done there. The cases could spiral out there too. So I think we have a fairly grisly picture which is there in front of us. And the sad part is I don't think anything can be done in terms of reviving the economy, because what's lost is lost. And if I go back to the experience of last year, we saw that whatever was provided was just about good for sustenance. It did not really help to bring about growth. And I don't know if the governments have that kind of wherewithal, at least the state governments, to reverse these kind of shocks, which would have been imposed on account of these lockdowns.
Okay, so you believe government doesn't really have the kind of wherewithal to deal with a big shock if the country gets to see the economic aspect specifically, but the way cases are rising, the situation is quite grim. Mr. Sabnawis, stay on with us. Mr. Vineet Agarwal, can you explain to our viewers what kind of an impact has the industry already started feeling because of what is happening in Maharashtra and a couple of other states, including the national capital today?
Thank you, Hina. I think, what is happening currently is you have to see it from the perspective of what has happened so far. So one, we came out of the lockdown earlier in the year, or previous year, from a pent-up demand to moving towards latent demand. And that progress had started. Now, I think what's happening with these lockdowns is that the sentiment is getting affected. There is production that's still happening because I think the government is taking very, I would say, prudent steps to not shut down factories, not shut down facilities, and have been definitely because, we are moving from a situation which was unknown unknowns to known unknowns. So clearly this is a time where the way that the lockdown has been sort of like the Janta curfews there, is definitely better on industry. Not as good because it's going to ultimately affect sentiments as well, which will have an effect on production over time. But right now, the feeling that we're getting, the sentiment that when we've spoken to some of our members, we've checked things on the ground, more or less factories are operating, but I think the stress is going to come shortly once these lockdowns start to happen.
Right. Mr. Sunil Alagh, what are your opening comments on, the state-specific restrictions that have started coming in and the possible impact it could really have on our economy? Because, we all started in a way celebrating because the recovery came faster than expected. Now, what do these state-specific restrictions really mean?
Look, I don't have the same pessimism as Professor Sabnavis, who said there's all gloom and doom ahead of us. I will go with what Mr. Agarwal has just said, that look, most of the industries in Bombay are still, in Maharashtra, are still working. And once you make this particular second wave that has come, look, there's planned a good monsoon, agricultural crop is going to come in for the rest of India, people are going to buy. So unless we say that the next 1 to 2 weeks that they have had restrictions is going to continue for a couple of months, then I'll agree with Professor Sabnavis. But otherwise, I think the rural demand in any case is very much higher than the urban demand in the last 6 months. That's going to continue. And if we are able to behave in a mature fashion, that is both the politicians as well as the public, because the politicians are not behaving correctly and neither is the public when everybody went in and said, we have overcome everything. If we start behaving, for instance, in Bombay today, Mumbai today, when you go out, everybody is wearing a mask because the fright has set in. So in a couple of weeks, I think Mumbai should be back on track. And so will be most of industries. All that I would suggest is that, look, CEOs must be made responsible for vaccinating every single individual in their own factories and everywhere else. There's this thing of the center taking all the decisions must now move to the states. The chief minister, once you threaten the CEOs of all the companies who have factories all over India and tell them that, look, how many thousands of people need to investigate everybody. And then once you do that, that's it. Then life goes on. I mean, and therefore, I think in the month of May, in June, when the monsoons start and everything is going hunky-dory, I think we will overcome this little thing which has happened now. And then maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I've never been a pessimist like Professor Sabnavis.
Okay. Mr. Sabnavis, will you like to respond to what Mr. Sunil Alagh has said? And what is the reason behind this much of pessimism is what we want to know. Because, unlike last year, this year, one, nobody is calling it a lockdown. Second, I mean, if you see industry, services sector specifically, restaurant, hotels, etc., they are all allowed to function. Public transport is going to function. So, it's not as stringent as it was last year. Plus, we have vaccination drive too.
In fact, I think let's look at it this way. Today, when we have curbs which are being placed, not just in Maharashtra, but in other places, what are we actually saying? We're saying that you cannot move out. Consumption is going to be restricted to essential goods. Now, I agree. Okay, I'm a factory and I'm producing, let's say, textiles. I'm producing shirts. Now, when I say that consumption is going down, there's no demand for it. Now, if I maybe allowed to produce the shirts, but at some point of time, I'll say, why am I producing when I cannot sell it? So I think that's where the issue is, that there will be this backlash which will come back to haunt overall manufacturing. Even though today there are no restrictions put in terms of production, you're saying that factories can run. Now, even for the issue of things like restaurants, I think I was seeing on your channel itself when we had some representatives of the restaurant industry saying that what you can do through deliveries is not more than 30% of your overall revenue. So what are we talking now? Instead of earning 100 rupees, I'm going to go 20, 30. I'll be paying the Swiggies and Zomatos to deliver food. Now, that is where the problem really lies. And as I mentioned earlier, the problem is that things are not going to end on 30th April. The cases skyrocketing, 2 lakhs after your Kumbh Mela, after the elections, the numbers are even going to go up further. And while Mr. Alagh says that yes, rural demand has been buoyant, most of the people who are going for the Kumbh Mela are from the rural areas. How do we know that that section is not going to get infected once they get tested, if at all they do get tested. So I think there are lots of these issues which we're not quite sure of. And given the fact that even last year when we went in for unlock, it was a fairly embarrassing situation. Cases were increasing and we said that, okay, now we're unlocking because the government's revenue came down and everybody realized it was not sustainable. That's the issue which I have, because even today, on 30th April, if I get to know that Maharashtra still has 60,000 cases, can the Chief Minister actually say that I'm going to relax things? The answer is probably no. You will have to bring about a continuation of the lockdown. I think realize. Otherwise, if everything ends on 30th April and we go back to 10,000 cases, I will also share the optimism of Mr. Alag.
Okay, I think those are some really valid points that you've raised, Mr. Sabnavis. I'll come to you, Mr. Agarwal, in just a bit. Quick response, Mr. Sunil Alag. Interesting observation here. I want to just add before I get you to respond to this. Till last year, during the first wave, maximum cases were just restricted to metros or the tier 1 cities. But now it appears that, this particular wave is infecting people in tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well. So the kind of recovery that rural sector got us last year, probably, it might not happen. Would you agree?
Look, I mean, anything can happen in the next few months. So that let's not get into holding a bowl in front of us and forecasting the future. All I would say is that, look, today, if you see many of the cases in Bombay, or a very large percentage is between the age group of 25 to 45, who's not vaccinated. The youngsters have come out. The youngsters are partying. The youngsters felt that everything was right. Now, if once they correct their behavior, I don't think we'll have that same situation. Second, a lot of asymptomatic cases, which were never tested before, are being tested today. So the numbers are increasing, not merely because of the fact that we are on a massive second wave. I think there is a massive second wave in the sense that a lot of people are getting tested, a lot of people are getting vaccinated, and maybe the number of vaccines that we have got, we underestimated that. Once the Russian one comes in, once a number of other stuff come in, I think we'll return back to normal quite quickly. That's all that I'm saying. You've got to analyze in a micro basis. Look,
Mr. Vineet Agarwal.
One last point I wanted to make was, even if the Chief Minister of Maharashtra says, I want to vaccinate the whole of Maharashtra between the age of 19 to 45, that is not the answer. Don't take a macro approach, take a micro approach. Say Dharavi or say certain parts of Mumbai. Anybody over the age of 19 can come and get vaccinated. So we have to take a micro approach to the problem.
Okay. So you're suggesting a micro approach, as Prime Minister Modi has also been saying, look at micro containment strategy this time instead of going for a complete lockdown. Mr. Vineet Agarwal, what is your assessment? You've heard both sides here, but you are representing the industry. Do you think, nobody can really predict what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. But do you think there is some kind of a stimulus or some kind of a rethinking in strategy is needed from the center side to help the businesses, to help the people who are in jobs today?
See, I think just to share to add to what Mr. Alag just said, I think we have to also remember this time the Janta curfew or the lockdown is not national. It is very, as you rightly just mentioned, micro containment zones. So that also means that it's not affecting all kinds of production, every single type of consumption. Because, India also operates to different markets and different sentiments are there everywhere. But notwithstanding, there are industries or sectors that are suffering. Clearly, the services sector, which comes in the hospitality area, is suffering for sure. There has been certain amount of relief that has been given, but it's not adequate at all. Certainly, if there are restaurants that cannot service and they're only earning 20-30% of their revenues, they will have issues. So perhaps at the local level, some things can be done. There are fixed charges for electricity, if that can be helped by the local government. If there is also sometimes some wage subsidy that can be given. So all of these things can happen now also at the state level, because we've learned from experience of the last 1 year at the center level. So I think it's a collaborative approach from not just looking at only at the center always, but at the micro level. What is it that can be done so that the sustenance can come up? And I'm sure there is a thought that is going on that certain kinds of industries might need a certain more relief, maybe a little longer moratoriums. I'm not so sure about how much of that will be applicable, But if there are deserving sectors, and clearly there is a IBC process around it, if there are such sectors, certainly that should be looked into.
Okay. Those are interesting suggestions, of course. I'm just requesting all my guests to please stay on with us. We are going to slip into a very short break, but on the other side, we'll be discussing some of the solutions, that can immediately be implemented to help the Indian economy deal with this second wave of COVID-19. Stay with us. Welcome back here with us on Times Now. First, it was Maharashtra announcing a Janta curfew till 1st of May. Now, even Delhi today has announced a weekend curfew, which means there are going to be a lot of restrictions that are now going to be there for the people of Delhi as well. And we are discussing the economic impact of these restrictions, these curbs that various states have now started announcing. We have with us our guests. We have Sunil Alag, Madan Sabnawis and Vineet Agarwal, who continues to be with us as well. Mr. Madan Sabnawis, CARE Ratings is looking at an economic loss of about 40,000 crore rupees out of the restrictions in Maharashtra. Barclays has come out with a report which says that economic cost of the shutdowns in India could be about 8,000 crore per week. And if these extend till May, then it could be about 75,000 crore rupees. We've discussed the concerns, but what about the solutions? What is it that the country can really do at this point in time, given the way numbers are rising? We don't know what the future holds, but at this point in time, to save livelihoods, what can the government do?
It's already mentioned by Mr. Agarwal. I think it's logical that if whichever state government we're talking of, probably just not Maharashtra, but any other government which decides to go in for a lockdown, you have the names of all the registered units which are there in your territory. All you have to do is just say that I'm giving you certain exemptions. You don't have to pay certain license fees, certain taxes are waived, and you know how many employees are employed. You provide whatever subsidy you have to do. But the important thing is you have to do it immediately, because especially if you're an SME unit, you don't get the relief immediately, but you'll have to wait to figure out as to when you can get this particular relief. I think people start laying off their employees. We've already seen some kind of migration taking place. Look at what's happening in some of the railway stations in Mumbai. People are running home because they know it's going to be a replication, or rather they fear it could be a replication of what happened last year. So never mind that this is just one particular state which is doing it, but this could be stretching across to other states. So I think good announcements have been made by the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. I think that's been very, very pragmatic. But the whole thing is to try and get into action and make sure the relief flows immediately. If I say that every roadside hawker is going to get 100 rupees a day, do we have a list of all the registered hawkers? If I have it, I should let them know that they should be able in a position to get this money. Just the last point, because last year we saw there were lots of cash transfers which were promised at a central level. But all the people I have spoken to, of course, the number is not very large, but from different parts of Mumbai, I spoke to around 80 to 100 people. None of them knew how to get their pensions at 1,000 rupees transfer. And so it was just words which were said. People did not really get it at the end of the day. So the important thing is that if you have a scheme, make sure that the benefits are delivered immediately so that there is support which is provided.
Okay, but some kind of a support is the need of the hour. Mr. Sunil Alag, where do you stand at this point in time on the issue of providing support to the most vulnerable most vulnerable sectors, the informal sector, for example, the services sector, for example, because that's where the axe falls first?
Look, the Chief Minister has already announced some amount of money, maybe only 1,000 or a couple of thousand rupees to each of those homes. And I'm sure the centre will also chip in. But that's not the solution. The solution at the moment is you make all chief executives responsible for their own offices and factories, regardless of age. Once you do that, then the chief executive will himself ensure that everybody is inoculated. And that's the need of the hour. The rest is, of course, we've got to carry on testing. And a lot of asymptomatic youngsters are going to get tested. They've already understood that, look, we have to save ourselves. There's a certain amount the government can do, and the rest of it depends on us. And once that message goes through, everybody will wear a mask, will wash their hands, and will go into working. Look, in the lockdown in Maharashtra, I don't see anybody, transport is on. Please don't think it's a complete lockdown like last year. Industry is working, lockdowns are there. I mean, a few people are walking across, and the media mustn't build up on the cases of people wanting to go home. If they wish to go home, it's up to them. But look, most of the industries are working. And as far as Maharashtra is concerned, it's only for 2 weeks. If they see an improvement, then they will obviously not go into end May and June. But if we go into end May and June, of course, then there's a huge amount of problem. And there has to be a micro analysis now. The center cannot say that, look, you will not inoculate anyone between 20 and 44 if you find and say Dharavi a problem. Of course, in that area, you can move in your doctors and do it. So those are immediate solutions. We are not looking at long-term solutions anymore. You know, you want an immediate solution right now.
Right. Absolutely. Immediate solution is the need of the hour. And, you know, with vaccine with us this time, which wasn't the case really last time. So definitely there is something that can be done by industry as well. And a very interesting suggestion you've given, Mr. Sunil Alagh. I give you the last word, Mr. Vineet Agrawal. Is the industry also ready to shoulder some kind of responsibility this time?
Absolutely. I mean, I think all organizations are very committed to ensure vaccinations for all. I think they are keeping people on employment as well. Again, just to take that point forward about inocular vaccination, I think a lot of the frontline workers, in this case, even e-commerce delivery boys, are people who should get vaccinated quickly, because these are the guys who are actually, a lot of them are on daily wages. So we have to protect those people as well who are on daily wages, because people who are in formal employment, that is formal employment, they don't have so much of a problem. They have some amount of savings, but the daily wage earners are the people who will struggle the most. So if we get them vaccinated and they are able to continue with their work, I think that's really beneficial. So that's a micro strategy, but it works very effectively because you also prevent migration to happen. You also ensure that there's some continuity in work. And, you know, once we come out of this, and definitely we are going to come out of this very much faster than we did last time around, we would need to start back quickly and start and keep running quickly. And that is a time when, if that mobilization is still there, we will all get benefit of it. So yes, industry is ready for this. I think now we need to allow a certain amount of more relaxation in terms of vaccination for sure.
Right. All right. Mr. Vineet Agrawal, Mr. Sunil Alagh and Mr. Madan Sabnawis, appreciate all of you for joining us on this special broadcast. Of course, over the next few days as well, we will be monitoring the situation closely, and we will be discussing the possible economic impact of the second wave of coronavirus and on specific sectors as well. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us.